Another episode of Web3 Tuesdays, and we have a special guest today, which is Miro Radenovic. Sorry for that. And he's a serial entrepreneur especially in the Web3 space. And the most recent ventures that he's launched are ucollect.me and dmind.io. But he'll explain about that himself because he's a lot more capable than me, and I'm sure there are a lot more. Well, I am sure because he told me. So there are a lot more ventures, more to come in the future as well. We are very lucky to have him because he's gonna tell us about actual use cases. That's a very hot question because there are quite a few people that question the purpose of Web3 and whether there is any use for that. It's arguably an expensive infrastructure, and it must make sense to have it in place for real benefits. So what do you think about that, Miro? And as usual, we will have Miro to sort of delve into this question for about 20 minutes, and then anyone who wants to join and ask questions, you can do it at the end or type any questions in the chat box. So Miro, maybe tell us a little bit about your journey, the various ventures that you have, what's your final purpose, and in the end, why you think that Web3 is the way, and what are the use cases for the users.
Okay, so hi everybody. So actually my journey started, I think, 12, 13 years ago. I founded my first software development company, which is called Deferside Software. And it's the target of this company is basically being a software factory. So basically we develop complex software for big enterprises. And let's say that this is a quite successful company here based in Milano. And then we decided like 5 years ago to launch another company, which is called Internet.ai. And basically it's a product that we deliver as a SaaS. So we wanted to create something different and stay a little more away from the services company and actually deliver a product. And as both companies are doing quite well, what we wanted to do is that we wanted to take the earnings of these companies and invest them in Web3. The reason of this is because first of all, the Web3 space was something that was quite interesting for me. As a technical person who I am, I was really, really amazed at the technology, and was the first thing that actually encouraged me to dig deeper. But at some point, we understood the potential of this, and we wanted to make this kind of investment because we still believe that this will be a massive changes in the way how we interact with the internet in the next years. So we're still in the early phase. It will take some time. We're still building the tools that will allow users to easily onboard on Web3, and this is exactly in the moment where we are now. But there are some huge advantages on the Web3 that will change our everyday lives. So for this reason, we decided to take as an investment. We are doing everything by ourselves. So we're using our earning and putting them in this new division, which is called dmind.io. So instead of going to the market and telling, look, we are the experts now of the blockchain, we wanted to first deliver a product that would allow us to learn better the technology, and at the end to repeat the same success we did with the Internet.ai. So what
I
we
think you
basically...
said, sorry if I call in. I think you said something very interesting, which is make it as easy as possible for the user, especially Web2 users that are trying to start their journey in Web3. You mentioned that you're doing something like that with your product, which is ucollect.me. Can you explain a little bit about how you're doing it and what does that mean?
Sure. When we started to dig into the Web3 space, I mean, even if we are all quite technical people, we understood that things were too complex for the average user. So currently, if you want to interact with any Web2 application, there are some steps that needs to be done before actually doing anything. The first thing to do is that you need to create a wallet, and this wallet needs to store a phrase. Then you have to install it on your computer. I mean, there are different steps that for the average user, which is used to interact with the Web2 applications, the normal applications we see on the internet, they basically expect just to click a button and everything, like the way how we call it, auto-magically works. And this is not now in the Web3 space. In Web3, things are a little complicated. So what we found out, what we think is that if you look on how internet had this huge adoption, it actually happened when users were able to easily post online content. The moment when we created products like content management systems or WordPress or even the socials or the blogs that allowed anyone to write content or publish videos, images in a simple manner, that's actually the moment when we had this huge expansion of the user base jumping on the internet. So this is actually what's happening now in the Web3. So until we don't provide simple tools to the users, we'll never have this huge adoption. And people will struggle to understand what are the benefits of the Web3, because you cannot talk with average users about the technicalities because to them they don't matter. I mean, if you use electricity, you want to just press a button and turn on the light. You don't care how it actually works. The same as a computer or everything. So this is something we actually understood in the Web3 space, and we are starting now to implement things that should, let's say, make a better user experience to the average user. Okay, and now this is finally possible. It took us quite a lot. And specifically in our platform, which is UCollector.me, what we did is actually we implemented what is called account abstraction. So basically, instead of asking the user to use our application with tools that have been already prepared by the user, we do everything for them. So basically, the users open up our applications, clicks a button to log in. They can log in by email or by any social account. And then we automatically create everything. So we create for them a wallet. We create them everything that needs to be used in order to interact with the blockchain. And when the users actually start to use assets that are deployed on the blockchains, like NFTs or tokens, we pay for them all the transactions. So they basically just click some buttons, and we take care of all the complexity of managing their assets on the blockchain or on the Web3 space, basically. And this is something that,
Sorry. I just I was going to say that as a lawyer, that speaks liability to me. As in, I don't want to cool you off. I think it's very cool what you're doing, and it's definitely the way. But I'm wondering who holds the private key and who's responsible for any malfunctioning or whatever. I mean, the user is totally oblivious to what's happening in the backstage, or do they know anything about it?
Actually, I mean, when you have applications that have embedded wallets, you can embed those wallets in two ways. They can be custodial or not custodials. Custodials, what does it mean? It means that actually the application is storing your secrets, and the application is owning all your assets. In our case, it's not like that. Everything is not custodial. So basically, we provide them the tools to interact with their wallets, but the application is unable to access the wallet or any assets that are part of the wallet. So it's still a compromise because we want to make things easier for the users, but at the same time, all the security aspects are the same as if you use an external wallet. It's the same. And in any time, and this is the keys are somehow stored in three different places. Okay, one is like split in three parts. Okay, and what happens is that the application manage one part, but you always need two parts in order to be able to rebuild the secret key. Okay, so we have three secrets now. The secret is split in three, and you need two of them to recreate everything. So how does it work? One is stored on your account, on your Gmail or anything. One is stored on your browser, okay, so on the user browser, and one is on an application. So the application with only one part of this is unable to do anything, and the users can always use different components in order to obtain the second one missing and recreate everything. And one important thing is that any time the user can always export everything and import everything in the external wallet, something that we actually encourage users. So we want to provide them something easily for them to onboard. And as soon as they start to understanding better how things work, we encourage them to move everything and use an external wallet. And also because if they use external wallet, we don't have to pay the transactions. So this is also better for us.
Absolutely. And how is that sustainable for you to pay for the gas fees?
How is sustainable? This is part of the business model for the whole application. So in the early stage, when we want to launch a product, you're looking for the best market fit, the best use cases, the best things. Everything is funded by us. What we are doing is that while the community grows and the user base grows, is the moment where we will insert our business model and we manage it in order to cover those kind of expenses. So the first thing to acknowledge is that we are not deploying everything on Ethereum, which is really expensive, but we are using layer 2s. So instead of staying on the most expensive network, we are using side or layer 2 chains in order to have less expensive gas fees.
And you mentioned you're using Polygon for that purpose.
Yes, we are moving now. We are deploying on the Polygon. So basically, the application currently is not live yet. We're going to launch it the next week. And in this next week, we're going to launch it on the mainnet on Polygon. And probably it's also worth the time to tell to your audience what did you collect? Because we
Absolutely,
talked
yes.
about all the technical aspects, but I think it's time to tell them what we are building. So basically, You Collect Me is a platform that allows anyone to launch memberships or loyalty programs on Web3 without all the hassles and the complications that the blockchain brings. So as I told you before, users can simply log in and start creating their memberships or the loyalty programs or basically attach any type of utility, real world utilities to any tokens. So if you look at the bubble that happens 2 years ago with NFTs, we saw those NFTs has been launched, but I mean, if you look at those projects, 99% of them that they never had any actual usage. I mean, real world usage was basically none. So what we're doing is that we want to provide anyone who is launching a token to be able to attach some utilities. As an example, you can launch NFTs. Those NFTs can be some memberships, and you provide to all your NFT holders some utilities. Utilities can be, you can download one file, you can watch this video, you can access to my event, you can get a ticket, you can get a promo code on Amazon and get a 20% discount. So communities that now are starting to grow on the Web3 instead of being centralized on Web2 applications like socials or anything else, now have also the tools to provide additional values to those tokens. And You Collect Me is basically this. So instead of being vertical and telling the users, look, this is the business model, we have a different approach. We provide a platform that allows anyone to launch the community and provide value to their tokens. So they can adapt the platform to their business models or to their ideas or whatever they want to do.
And what's the main advantage that you see in using your application compared to a Web2 loyalty program?
The biggest value, first of all, is the ownership. So before we started this product, we wanted first to see if there is actual market fit, if it actually matters to someone having the ownership of the communities or the users. And if you think, let's look at only on the content creator economies. So basically, there are many people that are investing a lot of their times in the business on creating their communities on YouTube, on socials, on everywhere. I mean, at the beginning, maybe you don't care about who's owning all your data, but at some point, you see this is a huge problem for you, because if all your revenue model depends on someone else, which can kill you just in a click, this becomes a big problem. If you see all the top content creators, they always try to somehow launch something different on different channels because they're afraid of this. This is actually a problem. Whatever you do on the internet, you don't own anything. So what we see, the biggest value of the Web3 is actually this, that why you should invest something that actually belongs to someone else and someone else has the full control of your business model. Why don't you instead use your time to invest something that actually belongs exclusively to you? And this is the biggest value that actually Web3 provides. We launched some surveys before starting this project. And the top two pains that actually content creators actually have are specifically these. The first of all is that they don't own anything. They spend maybe years on building something, but the algorithms and the platforms decide everything for them. And they always have some intermediators between them and their communities. And those intermediators always cut a fee. So, for example, you can use Patreon. Patreon is a great platform if you want to provide some content to your users. Cool, but Patreon cuts an 88% fees. What we are doing is we don't act as intermediate as a middleman. So basically, whatever you sell, you get the full earnings of everything you do. So it's 100%. We don't stay never in the middle because it won't make sense to deliver something Web3 and then expect that user depends on you. So if you're using uCollect for providing tools or utilities to communities, and one day you don't like anymore uCollect, it does not matter because users are attached to you through tokens, and you can just use another application, and all the users are already there. So this is the biggest value of Web3, and this is also. I mean, I want to add also another point, which to me is crucial. If you look at how internet now works, I think that 80–90% of everything belongs to top 10 companies. And there's no alternative to this. It's impossible with the current technology to have something that actually breaks this monopoly. Google, we know them, and they basically control everything, all our data, everything. So do we have a technology that actually will allows us to have, again, ownership of our data, of our communities, or whatever we do on those digital lives that are on the internet? Yes, to me, it's Web3. It will take time. Will take time to build the tools, but it's the correct direction to me. And we are in the early phase where we're starting to provide tools in order to onboard users and have them easily understand this technology and use them to build their models on something that actually they own instead of relying on someone else.
That's very interesting because I was thinking when you were speaking about the intermediaries, sometimes, of course, they take a cut, but they might also provide value. So if I think of the most basic example, perhaps being YouTube, if you put content on YouTube and you reach certain amount of followers, a certain number of followers, at some point you get revenues from YouTube directly, being based on the number of views and, of course, advertisement that YouTube attaches to your content. So I'm wondering if you need to find, I guess you need to find new ways of monetize your community, that being, having the community directly pay for your content, but maybe also use third parties to provide value and enlarge the pie, because otherwise it's only a one-on-one relationship. Does that make sense
Yes,
to you?
makes sense, but also there are other things that we didn't talk about, is the fact that look at how YouTube works. So you're a content creator and you're providing some content to your users. Your users are basically just somehow buying your product. And this is where the relationship ends. In the Web3, it's different. Users are actually part of your business and they can also earn something from you. So when you have your community that is based on tokens, and users actually owns those tokens can be resell or can be also given to someone else. So also your community somehow becomes part of your revenue model, and you have a bond which is definitely better than having just users that are buying your product. So maybe it will not perfectly works for video creators, I don't know, but there are many different type of business model or use cases that can be based on this. For example, I mean, look at only, for example, how crowdfunding works. Okay, we can also apply this on Web3, and also in Collect you can use this. Imagine an artist that wants to want to produce his music. He needs some investment. What he can do, he can launch a token, NFT. Then NFTs are sold, and once those earnings are used for the artist to promote himself, and once he, for example, becomes more famous, he can provide some utilities to his supporters, and the supporters can actually use those tokens to go to his concerts for free, to get some merchandising, or even get maybe a small cut of the revenues because they kept the artist. So there are many things that can be done if actually the relationship between the creator and the fans is more based as a community rather than being just the people that are buying your product. This is also things that are, if you look at those loyalty programs, the big brands are now experimenting, they're using this narrative. So they give something to their users in order to build communities, and the community members actually own something that can be resold or can be given or can have some additional value attached to it.
Very interesting. Is your product already compliant with MiCA, or thinking about the MiCA regulation and other regulations that are happening in the space?
Actually, our product now allows users exclusively to import already created NFTs or launch NFTs on our platform. Because the NFTs that allows you to launch on our platform are basically NFTs with additional features in order to manage memberships. So we don't have any our token. We are not selling nothing. So we just point the tools, and users should be compliant based on where they're using our applications. So we are not selling any NFTs, we are not selling any tokens and anything. Users can use it and then apply the regulations of their country, basically. So the MiCA, for my knowledge, MiCA started now to give some guidelines related to RC20, so tokens. We are only implementing current NFTs, and on NFTs, from my knowledge, there's still not things totally clear, but maybe Filippo, you can tell me nothing more about that.
We had a very interesting webinar exactly on that, and MiCA is a weird creature because it says that non-fungible tokens are not part of the regulation, but the definition of non-fungible token is very narrow. So the usual NFT, regardless of the the way that it's structured technically, it's usually part of MiCA. So if you want, just have a look at our channel on YouTube. You'll find a webinar on NFTs and MiCA, and I think it's very informative because yeah, it's a difficult question. So definitely have a look.
Okay.
But to better understand, so you're pretty much just providing the tools and asking the users to be compliant. So you're telling them it's your responsibility. Okay, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, every time you interact with your application, you're actually interacting with the blockchain. Mm-hmm. We are somehow just providing you the tools to do things in an easier way. So basically, it's all, again, the user, the community, and the blockchain. We are just an interface that allows actually you to do complicated things in a simple manner. But then everything else is up to you, what you're doing and what you are doing with the blockchain, what you're doing with NFTs. For example, if you're using NFTs to scam someone, you're responsible for this. It's you, your NFTs, and the people who bought it and the people who scammed. If you use them because you are creating some real-world asset that has been tokenized there, and you are 100% compliant because you are from Switzerland, I don't know, And again, it's you, your tokens, and the blockchain, and the users. So again, you're just basically an interface that allows you to do things in a simple manner and interact with the blockchain.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's part of making it easier is also to untangle the complexity that comes with the legal, landscape for that. So maybe I guess you will provide some material to users in order to be able to navigate that as well at some point, possibly. Or if you don't do it, it's something that someone else will do. I mean, it's because I totally follow what you're saying, that the way is to make it easier for the users to transition from Web2 to Web3, and that is partly a technological question. Partly, to me, it's a way of organizing your business model in a totally different way, and the rest is regulatory and compliance. So to make sure that you are not issuing securities or you're not breaching any regulation and so on and so forth. So I think you're providing tools in the first two spheres, maybe just the technology one, I don't know, but we'll see the full spectrum quite soon.
Look at also on this way. I mean, this is a project that for us, for the size of my companies, is still an important investment. Okay, so before getting too much in the details, I know that the part that the regulatory part aspect is crucial, is important. This is 100% sure. But when you're launching a product, the first thing that you want to do actually is there a market fit? So we are delivering a product that is way more than a simple MVP. We spend a lot of time building a real product. And now we want to first actually launch it. We have our community that is going to use it. We have some creators that will launch the campaigns. There's some things, but we're still in the part that we're trying to understand the best market fit. And this is not only because it's a new product. This also applies to the whole Web3 ecosystem. So I don't believe still in projects that are super successful because they found a market. There's still not a market fit, because what we need to do with the users first is that we need to instruct them. They need to learn what is Web3, what they can do, why it's different. This will take some time. I don't think it's important to them to know the technical aspects. Nobody cares about that. But they should know actually what is at least a token that actually has something to actually own. So there is first a basic understanding that needs to be done, okay? And then user will start to experiment many things. Because currently what's happening is that in the Web3 ecospace, projects are telling users, look, you need this, and it's not working. It's not working in this way. You should provide them the tools and let the users do what they want to do. You need to provide them the tools, the hammer, the chainsaw, the things, and then we start to build something. And this is where we are currently now, at least with our project.
Absolutely. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Are there any questions from the participants? Otherwise, I think we can thank you very much for a very and see you the next time.
Okay. Thank you, Filippo, and thanks everybody for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Miro. Have a good day. Bye.